All right. Good morning, traders. Happy Wednesday. It's Wednesday. We're already halfway through this week. How come no opening picture? I used to. In my mind, it's probably because I don't want Vlad to feel bad about how handsome I am. No, I'm just kidding. I just it like got bounced from my slide one time. I can put it back. I can bring it out and put it. It's the picture's getting old. I should take a new professional picture. To be fair. Good morning, LK. Wonderful Wednesday, Dennis. Good morning, Robert. Top of the morning, indeed. And how modest I am, Mario said. Mario, you get me. All right, everyone. Welcome out to the Tradespoon Live Trading Room Stocks and Options. I am Scott Beck filling in for Vlad Karpel this morning while he is on vacation. A little vacay. Okay. I've had a couple people say they want to know what I look like, so I will. I'll put it on there. Maybe it'll be a Thursday morning surprise. Pajamas. To be fair, that's about what it usually is. But I tell people, pretend like I'm wearing the suit. Okay. That's sorry, that was fast. That's me trading for a while, teaching for a while. These are the disclosures. Good morning to you, Mark. Good to see you. All right, that's enough. We got through all that good stuff. Let's talk about the market. Ooh, what? I'll tell you what. The market turns more south on us yesterday. I did end up putting on some hedges. Not a lot. Again, I've been coming in a little bit lighter on those, but definitely put it on. Good morning, Bill. Good to see you. TM and HMC puts keep it in the green. There you go, right? There you go. Good morning, Faust. The futures were actually same thing. Last night I looked and I'm like, oh, futures are down worse. It looks like it could be getting worse. And then this morning we recovered a little. However, we know how this thing works, right? Like we know how often we start a little bit up and end up down or vice versa, or this is a market trying to find its way. So I don't come in, look at the futures and set expectations for the day. This is just showing me the starting point, right? Don't let it bias you. Like, oh, well, it's going to be a positive. We have no idea. It just simply means that there's enough buying pressure pre-market that it's there. It's a lot easier to push the futures overnight and in the morning than it is in 9 more minutes. So was it the ADP news? That doesn't usually move the market that much. What do we come in at on ADP? What was the number? I don't even see it. I don't even see the number. They're expecting. I mean, what would be good news on ADP? A little bit more of a drop showing weakness to counteract yesterday's job opening strength, right? We got 9.6 million unexpectedly jumped 800,000 job openings. It's like, oh yeah, you know what? We looked around and turns out there was 800,000 more jobs than we. That's funny. Okay, so what? It was bad news was good news. I mean, I can't imagine they reported negative, right? I can't see it though. If you have a second screen, jump on your second screen, Google that report, and tell me what their ADP number was, please. Pretty please, with sugar on top. That's really, I mean, we have factory orders today that are supposed to move out of negative territory into slightly positive. Okay, yeah, that might work. Tomorrow, weekly jobless claims expected to stay low, just hovering in the low 200s. Friday, non-farm payrolls. So again, it almost seems like we would like to see it come in at like 100,000. Even though that starts to be like, ooh, 100,000, that's we're losing a little ground. It's okay if we lose a little ground, right? As long as we don't lose, like we're not shedding jobs. And you're really not seeing news of layoffs and everything else. 27 minutes ago, private employers added 89,000 jobs in September. Okay, thought it was around 85. 89,000, less than the 150 expected, a lot less than the 177. A lot less than 177. But still positive. I actually, yeah, I mean, I can kind of see it, I guess, a little bit. I hate that we're still just constantly reacting. And here's our Fed watch that actually jumped to no change. So I don't know. It's interesting. I used to just kind of casually watch this, but now that I watch it more regularly, it's interesting to me that we got this surprise jump in job openings, which is positive, which then is interpreted as negative because it means that the Fed has the ability to raise one more time on the next without, right? Like, oh yeah, we're fine. Let's go ahead and do it. So the market sells off, but then when you look here, it actually jumped. Yesterday it was at like, oh, what? Well, I don't know what's going on here, but that's exciting. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did, but I like it. That's interesting. Okay, never mind. Oh, I need to go back. Oh, what have I done? Go back to that link. I'll go back. Never mind. The biggest fear now is the budget. Depends on who replaces McCarthy. Bill says he's a skeptic. Government reports a number, then just adjust it. All true. All true. Good economic news translated into bad market results. Good news is bad news. And I think that's just like wondering about that last quarter point by the Fed. I don't think that last quarter of a point's that big a deal. I think it's more the fact when they're like, we're expecting it to stay up longer, that it may not even come down at all, et cetera, et cetera. McCarthy out already. Yes, McCarthy's ousted. Absolutely. Gonzo. It's a bit of chaos. Dow got slammed. The Dow's now negative for the year. Right? Okay. Let's just look around. How much time do we have? 3 minutes before the market starts. So look what I said, though. I said if as this thing continues to develop, we might start to see more of an upside and less of a downside, where the tail isn't wagging so much down there. And we're starting to see that. Okay, so still on that bounce, pull back, and maybe bounce again. Not quite in time with the cyclical. Let's just jump to that now since we're looking at the S&P. You can see that typically the bounce has kind of already begun, but only by a day or so. So I don't know, maybe, and then it has a little pullback and then it takes off. I'm gonna keep my hope alive, but it's certainly diminishing, right? It's diminishing because I don't see price confirming what it needs to do. It might start. If it does, okay. But yeah, I would love to take a loss on the hedge I put on yesterday because the market rallies into this. The little loss I take The little loss I take on that hedge that's kind of like protected against the correction or worse will be more than offset by upside potential and the trades that we would get if that window comes. I don't care. I want that window. All right. Let's look at the other markets real fast, and then we'll go be ready for the opening bell. Let's see. I think I have the futures up. I mean, we're at 0.12 right now, so basically flat, right? I would say we're opening flat. Okay. QQQ says, neutral. Completely flattened out. Oh, no, we kind of saw that yesterday, didn't we? I think we kind of saw that yesterday. It's kind of flattened out a little bit. If we look at the Dow, I think is where we were the most negative still. And you can see the Dow still shows, like everyone else, a little kick in the short term, but a worse reversal in the downturn as a follow-up. There's the opening bell. And the IWM. So, yeah, so the Dow's still kind of showing the worst, which, again, to me, I'm like, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm okay with that. And flat on the IWM. All right, there we go. That's everything. Let's go look at the market. Let's get to the market. Futures. Let's move out of the futures that are up 0.21 into the SPY, which is also up 0.21. So we're sitting down near, obviously, the bottom of yesterday's candle. So yesterday we opened. We were trying to move up a little, trying to hold this low. Didn't do it. What's my concern? What's my concern with yesterday in general? It came with volume again, right? Every time there's a big volume day, that's gonna be counted in my overall weekly assessment. And that just increased the probability that my score continues to drop. I mean, I don't know. It's only, well, I guess it's Wednesday. I mean, it's Wednesday. This day here, not above average. This day here, above average. Okay, so that's not great. Now we're here. Do we hold? Do we drop even further? I mean, yesterday we got to 420. This is, someone brought this up. They said that the non-weighted S&P and I think the NASDAQ are both already down 10%. But the SPY is not. It's not far. This is 10% right here. Right? This is 10%. So, okay. IWM and RSP. There you go. There you go. All right. Well, we'll take a look. Let's just peek in on this opening range. So we opened bullishly, moving a little higher. The overnight on SPY was 418.80, Fred said. So it tested down there, huh? Okay. Okay, good to know. Let's peruse through our watch list and see how we feel the market is shaping up. Let's start in Apple. So Apple, I think, is always worth Apple and Microsoft to me, are always worth a little bit more consideration. If you don't have Apple and Microsoft on your watch list, you should, because the weight that they carry, right? The weight that they carry in the market with, again, the SPY, Apple is 6%. No, let's see. Apple is 6 and Microsoft is 7. So they're about 13%. 500 stocks in the S&P, those two make up the first 13%. And 21% of the NASDAQ, I believe it's 11, and no, maybe it's 11 and 9, 20%. 20% of the NASDAQ, or not the NASDAQ, the QQQ, which is what we watch as the NASDAQ 100. So of those 100, those two make up 20%. So they have a huge impact, obviously. So that's why I always spend a little bit more time. There's nothing that I would trade. There is nothing on Apple that I would trade. I'm rooting for it though, and I feel like I might have a new definition of. Right, I keep kind of drawing consolidation lines because I can't. Apple's just trying to find its way, right? If this happens, followed by this, then I'm like absolutely happy, ecstatic, and that's what we're looking for out of this little bounce from the cyclical chart, right? We just want to see a pop and then a lack of sellers. Okay, hasn't happened yet. Ricardo, great to see you as well. Thank you, and absolutely, I would call us friends, of course. Absolutely, going to Portugal a little bit. Nice. All right. Well, enjoy Portugal. I hope your Portuguese is strong. Okay, Aflac. Now, as long as the uptrend is intact, which it is, I have a little bit of a what I call a leeway rule when I look at highs and lows, because theoretically it got to a high and it pulled back. This was here, and then it just sort of tried and then popped back down. So do I think, oh, that trend is broken now because it broke below this low? No. Why? Because where it is now versus these last areas, I can certainly kind of connect this like this and say, this could be just fine right here. That trend is intact. As long as it doesn't, I mean, the 50 is holding right there. Stochastics, very close. I would definitely want to see this turn, right? So I would say for me, I would still consider it. However, I'm much more suspicious of financial stocks right now. The insurers seem to be the strongest. You're going to see that here when we look at AIG. But I do like Aflac still, so very much keeping an eye on that. AIG, actually, I changed my mind on that now. That last day was really heavy. And at this point, you can see that we've had a pretty big move. That's why. I don't know. I would say I like Aflac better than AIG. It's too much. That's too much of a drop at this point. But let's keep an eye on it and see. I mean, neither of these are. We're still kind of we still need buyers to come in. Let's be clear. Right now, we still need buyers to come in a lot of these areas. Here's RPO or APO. Same kind of a thing, right? It pulled back. It's holding, looking for it to turn. Trend is still intact. I would say I'm still bullish on APO. There's still viable situations. BX, no. You can see BX kind of got this false signal, and then it broke the 50, and now we're kind of meandering. At this point, for me, This one's now off the list, and that's part of the problem. It's now in a consolidation. Part of the problem is that the list of financial companies is shrinking. Why? Well, because we're seeing weakness in the group that's making us less bullish on the group. This market is trying to find where its breadth is going to come from, and it hasn't happened yet. There are some signs that technology is trying to move back. Failed stochastics too. Good eye, Bob. Absolutely right. Look at that. Failed stochastics as well. Yep, agreed. Caterpillar, industrials are just nowhere to be seen. Copart, same thing. Those were two of the stronger ones that I left on just to act as representations of the industrial sector. Bear with me. Let me jump down a little early. That's the industrial. So you're like, those are the best ones. Well, look what the sector's doing. It's on this steep consolidation. Boom, 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 boom. What do we need to happen here? I need this. I need this. I need this. Anything other than that, you can see there's some old highs. Anything other than this type of a reversal pattern, I'm just gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch the industrials. I'm expecting to see that type of a pattern happen up here on one of these first. This is a little bit, although it kind of changed the angle. If you watch, this was my line of consolidation, but it's almost accelerating away from it. It's got a lot of work to do right now. I don't see any possibility of being bullish on Caterpillar within the next 10 days. Too much things have to happen first. Ooh, Bob, you're right. Energy dropped another hard day. So CBE was one that I thought maybe, but it just didn't hold. Here's the group. You can see that's hitting pretty hard still too. You nailed that trade for sure. That's a good catch. For me, I was reluctant to put a put on because energy still showed up as strong on my sector rotation. So put me in a bind. But yeah, that's helpful. I mean, of course, we'd all like to see oil come back down. That's just universally, other than if you're in the Middle East, I guess, or a big oil company, we'd like to see oil come back down. Where was I? Dell. What do you guys think about Dell? I mean, it's so strong. The trend was so strong. The earnings were ridiculous. It just smashed higher. Now it's like, I don't know. Did it just find its home? It's around 70 and will maybe meander around. Every time I think it looks like it's going to try to turn, it doesn't. But every time I think, well, the sellers are going to bring it back down. This thing's dropped $5, 4.5 in a month, where the buyers have just sort of taken a break and it just won't drop. But I don't know. Interesting. What to do? Yeah, the Dow does not look, it looks anemic right now. It just doesn't look very strong. Here's another point for me. Well, yes, sir. Here's another point for me. These AI stocks, they popped, right? So Flex, PLTR, those are the two that I kept as the group went through its little shakeout, right? Look, I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's going to continue. Does it look like there's puts? Well, see, that's the thing, is I don't think it looks like puts at this point. I think it's already moved down. We were kind of already in that stage, right? So if you look at something like CVE, that's not setting up for a put. This was where you would want to have that put on, right? But of course, that's trading at a new high or whatever the situation was. Right now, my stochastics is entering oversold, and this thing is. I mean, I'm not expecting things to just sit and drop like that. I don't know where I would have that expectation from. So the fact that it's already 4 days, you got it. It's too late, right? It's too late. So the fact that we're too late for puts means then are we still have any viable options for calls? And those are the thought processes that we're kind of working through right now. Is there a now what? What are we trading? Okay, let's just keep looking through at the various sectors. But yeah, I do think that have I ever traded Groupon, GRPN Groupon? I have a long time ago. I have traded Groupon before. At least I think I have. I've watched it. Anyways, what's happening right now? It's paused a little on it, but you can see that it broke out. Bing, got to this new high. Now it's pulling back. This is dropping. So what are we looking for? Looking for a reversal to occur in here. Right? That's what I'm looking for. Looking for a reversal to occur. Okay. Gold. I mean, look what happened. What's the anyone follow gold on a right? Like, does anyone trade or follow gold or the precious metal? I've got to assume there's been some kind of news out of that gold market. IBM. Jets down to January support. Could be a reversal when oil drops further. Interesting prospect. So here's IBM. This one broke. Now, if it just broke this and then held right there on that hammer, that looked like it was going to be a hammer, but it didn't hold the next day. If it would have held there, and that would have been higher than this one back here, the trend still would have been tacked, and I would have been okay. That would have been another example of sometimes if it breaks that when it was just like a minor little pullback, I'm okay with it. If it held in here and it turned, then I think this trend would have still been intact. But it didn't. It broke down to here. Now it's sitting on this. Right now it's sitting right on this bottom. And it's the stochastics are down, and so people are thinking, is this a trade? For me, no. Because it took this low out, then it took this low out. So now I think it's on a consolidation. I want to see it break, come back, boom. How can we trust candlesticks if the hammer didn't hold? Well, it's not a matter of trusting, because a hammer in and of itself, in fact, there aren't really many at all. The engulfing can be considered self-confirming. But other than that, all candles need confirmation to confirm the pattern. So the hammer was simply a representation of indecision, where the ultimate result of the day was hardly any move at all. The sellers tried to push it down here. Now it's hammering out a bottom. It wasn't even the right one. What would be the confirmation the next day, right? If we're hammering out a bottom, the next day would look like this, right? And it makes this transition, boom, boom. Now that's a bottom. Now that hammered out the bottom. But the fact that you just have the candle itself without anything after it, it's just one candle, right? And so any doji, whether it's a morning star, evening star, hammer, dragonfly, tombstone, inverted hammer, hanging man, anything along those lines, they're nothing until the next day, and then they have, and then we can confirm it. So that would have been a hammer, but the next day it kept selling, and then it kept selling, and so none of those actually were confirmed, right? So confirmation always has a role in what we do with technical analysis. It's the same thing. I'm going to have to hurry a little bit, but I used to draw a chart where it was going like this, right? And then it goes like this, and it comes down and goes like this, and comes down. And I'd say, okay, does anybody see a pattern? Inevitably, someone's like, that's a double top, right? Because these two are the same. They're like, that's a double top. Great, I would say. What kind of pattern is that? That's a reversal pattern. There's two broad types of patterns: continuation and reversal. That's a reversal pattern. So I'd say, so you think it's going down? Yeah. I'd say, great. Anyone else see anything? And someone else would say, I see an ascending triangle. Ooh, there comes those lines. There's an ascending triangle. I'd say, great. What kind of pattern is that? And they'd say, maybe they'd know or not. But continuation. Yes, it's a continuation pattern. So what do you think it's going to do? Well, continuation pattern means you think it's going to continue going up. I said, great. So now we know. Here's the big joke. You ready for this? So now we know that this stock is either going up or down. You're welcome. Dun, dun, dun. It's neither. It's both. It's neither. It's both setup. This is not a double top until it breaks that low. Bam. Now it's a double top. It's not an ascending triangle until it breaks resistance. Now it's a triangle. It's both or it's neither. So what is it? What are the patterns? What do price patterns require? They require some type of a confirmation of the pattern. Same thing with candlesticks. They require a confirmation. So whenever we're doing any kind of technical analysis, you always want to have an idea in your mind of what is it that what is your assessment? Your right? What is your claim that you're making? And what confirms that process has started? Okay, I hope that makes sense. Confirmation. And then there's the fact that confirmation can be very expensive, right? Because confirmation means it's moving further away from your stop and closer to your target. So there is IBM. So is PG showing two hammers and no confirmation? Carol wants to know. I want to know now too. I think we all do. Actually, so these, it's not showing much of anything, first of all. So here's a few things it's showing. This looks like a bear flag for a pattern. Boom, boom. Right? There's the pole, there's the flag. So let's start with that. That's probably the biggest thing that I'm looking at. This is not quite a flag or a hammer because it has that shadow. So the shadows where the wicks play a big part. These would be more inverted hammers. Or, and here's the thing. This is a hammer. This is a hanging man. Huh? This is an inverted hammer, and this is a falling star. You're like, what the hell are you talking about, Scott? This hammer shows up at support levels, at lows. this hanging man shows up at resistance levels. I don't really see any in there, but that's where I would expect it to come. And the same thing, the inverted hammer shows up at support. The shooting star shows up at resistance. You can see there's one right there. Those are, what does that tell us about candles in addition to confirmation? They're contextual. It's contextual to whether you're at a support level or a resistance. You're looking at it more for the downside prognosis. Whereas, right, so if you think we just went up for 5 days, now I have a hanging man. We just went down for 5 days. Now I have a hammer. I know it can seem confusing, but as you build your knowledge and practice with that, it is one of the easiest and most visual representations of how to see price. Japanese candlestick charting explained by Steve Neeson. That's, I still think, the best book. If you ever wanted to pick up a book that just kind of helps you understand, construct and things like that. So anyway, all right. Sorry. Let me finish up here. Let's get back to the watch list. I mean, look, market's kind of figuring things out. It's a great time to learn things, right? A great time to learn things. Intel. I think I can. You can see it gave it back yesterday and it tried today. This thing looks like it's coming to an end. I wanted here. It's not quite giving it all. All right. Picked up a little bit still, right? Picked up a little bit. In times like these, any loss you can keep small is great. Any win that you can notch is great. Risk should still probably be pretty low. Angelique, oh my goodness, I didn't even see you there. Good morning. It's great to see you again. Amazing. Small caps still kind of still lost in the wilderness. We'll keep an eye on them, but there's not much interest. So we don't see money flowing into the Dow for defensiveness, but we sure don't see much appetite for risk in small caps either. JP Morgan, there's another one of those cases for a financial stock kind of falling apart. Meta turning a little sideways. Communication services was one of the sectors this week that I thought showed some prospects and doesn't look good for one of its top stocks, for communication services top stocks to not be able to get going, but we'll see. We'll keep watching. Microsoft, there's that same, we seem to have found our consolidation here. I would love to see this thing kind of bust up out of there. That would be amazing. I'm not expecting it, but it would be great to see if all of a sudden technology could find its footing. October has potential. If it doesn't, I just don't see it happening. NVIDIA. Okay, right. Here's some more prospects. Gosh, my line drawing today is just not good. Pop up, new high. Looking for it to come back down and stabilize above that. I mean, basically, the 100 is going to be a great tool for finding a trade in NVIDIA. Any turn at or above that line, because you can see we actually bounced here, and the 100 is still primarily directioned up. So this should move a little bit higher. By the time it comes down, a great place at or above. That's what I'm looking for. Would love to see NVIDIA try to lead chips. If chips get strong, maybe we see some momentum come back. Back into other areas of the technology sector. Oh, thank you, Carmen. I appreciate that. Great feedback. PLTR. Look what's happening. PLTR. I've been giving it some pep talks, telling it how much I like it. And I would like to hang out, come back down. Can it hold? Can it find support in turn from in here? Yeah, I think so. Palantir already knows. That already knows. I just, I want to validate. Validation. QQQ. We're rooting for you, right? We're rooting for it. It looks. Could it be? Could it be that right in here it's just going to do just this little mini sneaky reversal? Maybe this is the picture that we're looking for that matches this picture here. Maybe we have to just be a little creative with what we're looking. I mean, look at that, right? Don't those look very similar right there? Dun, dun, dun. Okay. No time to be in the markets, Martin says. No buyers, so sellers fueled by shorts. I don't think there's much short right now. There's a bit of short, but I don't think we have a surge in shorting. You're fighting too much institutional strength. I think you'll see it if we break the 10% mark. Then you'll start to see an increase, an uptick in the shorts. I think you're right. Generally speaking, we're definitely not seeing the buyers. That's what we've been saying this whole time, right? Is until we see buyers confirm, there's not much of anything here. SPY, let's go take a look. 20 VIX has above average. Yeah, I think you're right. If we get into the 20s, right? If we bounce up into the 20s, that kind of a thing. When you see that escalation, we're still are we in the teens? Maybe we're not. I'll go check. Do institutions come into the market 15 or 30? Honestly, institutions are constant. I mean, they're really trying to move in black bulls these days, more than anything, They try to hide. I hear these days we're up to like 30% of daily transactions can occur in dark pools, which is such a ridiculous thing that is allowed to happen in what should be fully transparent markets, right? Anyways, okay. Let's finish this list. Yeah, poor IWM for sure. SPY has given back some of today's early enthusiasm. The opening range is still holding. We're not quite sure. If we break the range to the downside, I think we're retesting near 420 and a half. If we break the range to the upside, then I think we could end up back up near 424 and a half. 424 and a half. So I think this one could go either way still. We're not quite sure. Still watching the market process this. Tesla. Tesla tried to hold. It's trying to move. It's giving it the old try. But again, like Martin said, what are we missing? The buyers just aren't getting much oomph right now, right? So here's the VIX. Now, we tested May highs, you'll notice. Back in May, prior to that bull run that we had and then got down here into these lower teens, we were kind of fluctuating between 16, which wasn't terrible, and 21. So we're back up here to 21 now. This is a confirmed higher low right here, right? So we confirmed it. It's already kind of stalling, but let's see, breaking the opening range to the downside, Bob said. So yeah, we're clearly escalating right now. So I do think that the shorts are starting to accelerate. but I don't think they're overwhelming. We don't even have the 10% correction on the S&P yet. So I don't feel sky is falling by any stretch. But I'm, certainly trading significantly less in, August and September than I was in May, June, and July. Simply not the right conditions. So, okay, let's finish this watch list. Walmart. Trying to hold on. I actually think Walmart could be viable if it gives a convincing turn. Energy coming down, financials coming down, industrials coming down, staples coming down. And I know this looks like, it looks so terrible, right? But before you ever look at this and think, it's so bleak, just switch it to the utilities does look pretty bleak. Energy looks fine. Financials looks sideways and stable. Industrial still looks overall a little bit more bullish than not. And this looks right. So it helps to gain a little bit different perspective. End of the day, what are we looking for here? More information. Let's see if we get more information as we finish up the next week or two. So, how do we know what is real support or resistance if day trading? Well, I mean, you never know anything, right? You expect it. You trade, it starts to bounce, and then it reverses and breaks it to the downside, and you're like, oh, I'm wrong. Does that mean you were wrong in the beginning? No, it means you were wrong once the trade started. So the model is a good guide, agreed. Model does a great job for the day trades. Absolutely. All right, I've got to run. It's good to see everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day. We will be meeting here in a few hours for the afternoon session. We will also be meeting here in the morning tomorrow for morning coffee. So I look forward to talking to you. Have a great day and happy trading.